And then lastly, Facebook ad library and CrowdTangle link checker, and some issues that are linked with CrowdTangle link checker. So Facebook is one of the most difficult platforms to investigate because it does not have open API. In many countries, it is still one of the biggest social media platform, especially in Georgia, in Caucasus, and Eastern European countries. And we pay a lot of attention to investigating this platform because a lot of information operations and dissemination of disinformation happens on Facebook. And there was a Facebook graph search several years ago that allowed researchers to collect information, publicly available information about suspicious actors or profiles. But because of personal data issues, it is not okay to profile a person in this manner and to have this like collected information about certain person, even if we have even if we think that this account might be inauthentic. So because of many scandals around this, in 2019, this Facebook graph search was removed, and basically we ended up with very limited resources to investigate Facebook. And what we will go through today is how to investigate Facebook through Facebook. So everything is in the platform, and this is just the like angle how we look at the platform. Like everything is what is here is already very known for you, I'm sure, because like I'm also sure that you also use Facebook. So in that regard, there is nothing like new and hard in terms of like technical skills. But like if we a bit like change a bit our viewpoint about approaching Facebook, then it becomes easier to detect some markers and signs of information operations or inauthenticity, and then of course investigate it. So one thing is content, what people post, and as researchers and journalists were interested in content, what is posted on Facebook. This might be like this false information, misinformation, disinformation, all these like terms we discussed yesterday. It might be hate speech, harassment, or genuine information, etc. Like anything that is posted is content. But what we are interested in also is behavior. So how this content is posted and how it is disseminated on the platform. So we might see that fake or duplicate accounts are disseminating the content, or there might be some misleading pages and groups. And we might also see that there is coordinated amplification. But this coordinated amplification, it's not a problem per se, but it becomes inauthentic when when fake accounts are involved in dissemination. So when dissemination is not transparent and violates Meta's rules, then it becomes inauthentic coordination, and usually Meta removes this type of networks. So this is official or description of coordinated inauthentic behavior. I might mention CIB, and CIB stands for coordinated inauthentic behavior. So don't be surprised about that term. And basically, this is coordinated efforts to manipulate public debate for a strategic goal where fake accounts are central to the operation. So this means that actors behind this type of networks, this type of behavior, attempt to portray their content more popular than it really is. So this is not transparent promotion of certain content, and that's why Facebook says that it violates its rules and terms and etc. Time to time, Meta also publishes the threat reports, information operations threat reports. I will send the link to the reports, and you can also see the archive of all the reports, like which countries are targeted, which audiences are targeted. Very important about the takedowns is that Meta does some attribution, who is behind the activity, and this is super, super important and very crucial. When we will discuss some I don't know, some tips how to investigate information operations, and especially in your countries where you have like a lot of understanding of the background of political developments, of context. You might be able to attribute the network to certain actor yourself, because you already know what are the content disseminated by certain political actors, what are the messages. There might be genuine people involved in the inauthentic network, but this is only a research which is done on surface. So this is open source research, and this is just our knowledge who might be behind the operation. But when Meta takes down the network and does official attribution, then this is super crucial, and this is already an evidence that certain actor is truly behind the network. Just to like bring you one of the examples, one of the first takedowns that happened in Georgia, it was back in 2019. When Meta directly said that company was hired by ruling party, and this company, so it was like outsourced disinformation campaign, but it directly said that this like PR company was hired by Georgian Dream ruling party, and the party and the government like was behind the network. So this is very important attribution in terms of domestic political developments as well, and that's why this attribution is really crucial. I also want to present one of the case studies, and especially some participants are from European countries, and this is very important operation, which is called Doppelganger. We identified the initial the initial iteration of this doppelganger, I think 2 years ago, but like many organizations are involved in researching this operation, and it is believed that this doppelganger is one of the largest Russian information operation on Facebook involving websites that targets European countries. So it's like multi-target, it has many countries to target, and basically it's Europe, and doppelganger stands for like impersonating famous media outlets, creating some obscure websites, and then disseminating content which is aligned with Russian disinformation. And basically we started like back then this investigation. Our colleague from Latvia saw this sponsored ad of this meme on Facebook, and then she started investigation, and she also like searched for other ads that also contained this message. So you see that this is like classic Russian message, right? And especially after war in Ukraine, after sanctions, one of the main messages was that like without Russian gas, Europe will freeze. And this Dr. Euroreich, with the head of European Union flag, is cutting Russian gas to Germany's economy, which is portrayed as vital for sort of like Germany's survival. Very funny meme, of course, but it has this political message, and it was really interesting to investigate. And the first iteration had this number of assets in the operation, more than 1,500 accounts, pages, Instagram profiles, and it was one Facebook group. This means that it was more on transparency. Sorry? Maya, could you mute yourself if you do have a question?
Wyszła, rozejrzała się.
And there were like many different narratives, as we discussed yesterday. Disinformation narratives target specific audiences, and it varied. For example, in Germany and in Latvia, it was about like economic hardships resulting after sanctions. In France and Italy, there were messages that arms should not be supplied to Ukraine. And also in the network, we saw that some suspicious pages used AI-generated images. And in the next session, which is, I think, about photos and videos, we will talk about AI-generated images and how can we identify this type of images as well. And these narratives, the dissemination of these narratives also coincided with specific domestic political developments, like meetings between politicians. And when certain topic popped up and it was like a hot topic in the country, the narrative, disinformation narrative or false narrative around specific political development and discussion was tailored to that what happened there, and that was very interesting as well to understand the timing of the narrative. And these are some of the examples how it looked, the pages, and there was also the pattern in the naming of the pages, and I will show you the patterns as well, but also the namings and impersonating of famous outlets in certain countries, in the targeted countries. That was also one of the major patterns. And besides Facebook pages, websites were also involved, and we also have session about analyzing websites and how to link those websites to Facebook assets, and we will discuss that deeper, of course. So the pattern of the names was this, many pages had positive sounding adjective, like for example, beautiful, nice, wonderful, or this type of very positive adjectives with combination with 2 letters. So like 1 or 2 pages with this name, it's okay. It's really hard to say that this is a pattern, but when you see, I don't know, like 81 pages, you already understand that this is one of the signs of coordination, and there might be central coordination between these assets. The phrase open opinion was translated in various languages, and this was also the name of the pages. I don't know, 666, like up to 15. Names of people imitating media outlet, and also the Ukrainian phrase free nation was used across 4 pages as well. And this is very interesting. It's not like the rule that you need to pay attention to these names in every operation, but it's like case by case. When you investigate and you already have like feeling that there is something happening, you already see some signs of coordination and pattern. And in other cases, we will also discuss why it is important to sort your data in a comfortable way, so you can understand picture, and you can already see some findings in your spreadsheets and Excels, because otherwise it's really hard to memorize everything when you have everything open in like Google Chrome tabs, and then like claim that there is a pattern of coordination, and then that there is some certain finding, whatever. And some examples of the pages. Like you can look at the screen. The inauthenticity is one of the examples of inauthenticity is also this recipe here of Russian salad. This is very common tactic for inauthentic networks, because usually they create pages and groups with names or with content targeting different audiences with different interests. Usually it's like recipes, vacancies, entertaining content to attract audiences. And then as soon as they have numbers they need, then they switch to disseminating political content. And also very briefly about the narratives that were spread within this operation. Economy is getting worse due to Russian sanctions. Europe should stop supplying Ukraine with weapons. And linked to that one, there was also fake petition. And that was very interesting in terms of tactic as well, to attempt to set public opinion that there is like genuine citizens protesting or criticizing arms supply to Ukraine, and etc. So there are many narratives. I'll also provide these links of the case studies that I mentioned today and yesterday as well. So like you will have this reading materials if you're interested. And these inauthentic users that disseminated this content along with pages and groups. And we will also discuss now and in image verification session as well how to identify those images and accounts, and especially like on the left side we see gun generated images, the AI generated images, and on the right side we see images that were that were stolen from other people. Okay, let's summarize this. Okay, now let's move to more practical aspect of this session. So as I said, Facebook is built by profiles, groups that are open and closed, and also pages. And let's start with profiles. It's really hard or like tricky to identify profiles because Even with monitoring tools, you can monitor pages, you can monitor public groups, but like you cannot monitor accounts of personal accounts, even if these accounts are inauthentic. So you are limited to manual research and investigation. And one of the great ways to start investigation and start identifying suspicious accounts is to look at this shares section and identify who shares this specific content. For example, if you're interested in Russian network in your country, you can go to a Facebook page of the Russian media outlet which operates in your country, and look through the posts that are posted on their Facebook page, and then click on the shares button, and then check the profiles. Of course, there are some like genuine people who believe in Russian agenda and they share their content, but there might be also suspicious accounts that disseminate this Russian content in coordination. And this is what we try to achieve, to understand how to identify what is coordination and what is false account. So these are some of fake images. That was a bit early. That was the exercise about that. Usually they also might like content and interact with different emojis. And besides shares button, you can also check the suspicious accounts there. But especially what is easier is to check whether these accounts also reshare that content in different groups. It is visible in that shares button section, and you will see the list of people who shared the content. And besides that, you will also see the content, see the shares and the accounts in the groups. So if we see that same accounts, for example, like this, what we have on these two screens, same account shares the same content in different groups, then this is sign of coordinated dissemination. And we will collect information about this profile and the groups as well, because these groups might also be the part of the same network. So we start slowly collecting the information about these assets. And then we will go like deeper into each of the assets, and then we will understand what is happening. But the starting point of investigation is that we start with one account, like one profile, one group, one page, and then our search expands, and then our results also expand. And to check the authenticity or inauthenticity of profile we are interested in is first to do the image verification of their profiles or the images they're using. And usually they either steal from Google, like generic images which are found on internet, or steal from different people, like other people from other social media platforms. For example, in Georgia, VKontakte is very popular, and they steal images from Russian users. I don't know why. Or another option is to use artificially created images. And basically, of course, we also see fake accounts that are like empty. They do not post anything. They might only interact in comment section, or they do not have any pictures or anything. So there is like, this is one type of fake account. But when an account tries to build trust, interact with audiences, become friends with other activists, or I don't know, politicians, etc., then they attempt to have a very trustful Facebook profile, and that's why they need to steal images either from Google or other people, or to use this artificially generated images. Very briefly, of course, we will go deeper into this in another session, but very briefly, we're using these image verification tools to verify images. And in this case, we are talking about faces, and I could recommend that Yandex Images is better to identify faces compared to Google Images, because like Google Images, and especially after it switched to Google Lens, it's not that successful anymore, and it's harder and harder to find image source through Google Lens. And also considering our political context, and as I said, the pattern, for example, in Georgia, that they are using images from Russian social media users, then Yandex Images is more effective to identify the original source of the faces. So basically, this is how it works. I will also send the links because we will have like very quick practice after several minutes. We have an image, we right mouse click, and we either like install some Chrome extensions which collect all these reverse image searches together, or if we're using Chrome here from search Google for image, we click on this, and then we have results of images. Of course, like this is collection of all the websites that use this image, and this does not mean that Google or Yandex will tell us that this image is fake or this image is false or whatever. It will collect all the sources where this image is used, and then we need to go through the sources, check the websites and identify trustful sources, and then go to the content and like identify the, I don't know, the origin story of the image. So this is one of the examples from Georgian takedown, Tata Turmanidze, which is like the name and surname, Georgian name and surname for woman. And we do the image verification or reverse image in Yandex, very easy, very quickly. And we already can say that this is not Tata Turmanidze, and this is girl from Armenia and using Instagram. And from her Instagram, someone stole her image and used for political information operations in Georgia. Another interesting sign of inauthenticity is to compare the name which is given in the URL and on the profile. And here we have this discrepancy, and together with stolen image, this discrepancy is also like added value for you to claim that this account is truly inauthentic. So Mariam here stands for woman name in Georgia, and in URL it's Nika, which is man name. So already we have this funny discrepancy. So for the pages as well, and also for the groups, and especially for profiles, besides checking content, behavior, how they act, what they are sharing, whether they are stealing images or not. These names in the URL is also like another interesting aspect to pay attention to. And then we also see that these accounts use edited images, and that's the image from the previous slide, and I forgot that I had this duplicate slide. And sometimes when these photos are filtered or like, I don't know, the mirror effect is used, for Google, it's really hard to find the origin of the image. And basically, the lesson learned here is that use different reverse image search options, because if you search in Google and you don't have results, this does not mean that the account is authentic, or this does not mean that the image they are using is authentic. Use other search options as well, and just like compare the results as well. Some examples from different country takedowns, how images were filtered and altered. So it was hard for Google to detect those. Again, the mirror and the filtering. And let's pause for a minute. I'll send the picture in the chat, and also 2 links to reverse image search tools, and download this image, and please try to find the origin picture in Google and in Yandex. Just a second. I'll stop sharing and share the image. Jesus, what is this? Did you receive it? Yes. Okay, this is one. And this is second. So both have the logos of uploading the photo, like small icon of the photograph or an image, and it should be very straightforward. And if you have some issues with uploading or finding that icon, please let me know and we can do a very quick demo. Yeah, that was quick. Thanks, Roman. Did others also try how it works? Let's wait for like 2-3 minutes so everyone can test it. Cool. So if you tested it, you will see that Google was not really able to find this image, and Yandex was able to find the origin. So it was mirror effect and also the filters, and that's why it was hard for reverse image search and especially for Google to find it. So again, this type of filtered photos are used in authentic networks by suspicious accounts, and again, like search and different search options. Yes, Sandra.
Sorry, Sapa, you have shared your present view, not like entire screen.
Okay. Again.
Sorry for interrupting.
Sure, thanks for saying that. Just a sec. Okay, it should be normal now.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, let's quickly, yeah, chat. Yes, exactly. So no Google results available, and Yandex is really successful here. That was main takeaway here. Now let's go to Pages. And Pages is also, like basically Pages contain a lot of information to detect CIB. Let me just quickly do this. This is the information we are trying to gather from a page. Of course, not every section is filled with information, but we attempt to collect this information. Every page has transparency section, and this is mandatory in the framework of Facebook transparency policy. And transparency section has information about creation dates, location of the admins of the page, the history of name changes, ads, and whether the page runs a group, so linked groups. We also check about section, and this is not mandatory. So this might be empty, but sometimes there might be misleading information, or sometimes like actors behind this network are not really careful, and they just fill the about section with information. So still it is really very useful, and there might be information about linked websites or the phone number or email. So we still need to check that section. And of course the content, because like we are researchers, and one thing is to identify inauthentic behavior and coordination, but another thing is also to identify what type of content is disseminated there. So any content might be interesting for us. So page transparency is located in an old design of pages below about section, but most of the pages have new design for now, and in about section, page transparency is incorporated there. And as I said, page transparency contains a lot of information. And when you tap see all on Facebook transparency, like the transparency section, we see the summary of the page history, people who manage this page, if there is any organization linked to the page, and page history. This is what I already said. And page history is very interesting because as I said, pages are sometimes created for political purposes, but they name pages after some entertaining content. And then they usually change the names to certain politicians or certain actors. And to track that history of name changes is really very interesting, and especially to identify the timestamps. So when page was created and what was the original name of the page, and then whether page changed its name and when did it change its name. And why it is interesting. This is another example from one of the takedowns in our investigation from Latin America. And when you put everything together, so the name of the page, category, how it was registered, creation dates, and then you put everything together, you see that there is a pattern, and there might be very short time period when the pages were created. Sometimes we have pages, dozens of pages created on a single day. And these timestamps are very important because then you can link those dates to specific political development. And in this case, these pages were created between February 4 and 26. Focusing on Bolivian elections. So that's really interesting. If you have some pages also created way, I don't know, like in early stages or a couple of years ago, but you have history of name changes around elections, 1 month ahead of elections, 2 months ahead of elections, then this is already very interesting signs of coordination or interesting signs of some political content around specific elections. So pay attention to the dates when the page was created and also whether the page has history of name changes. This information is given in the page transparency section. Then the next is location. Location does not mean that, sorry, the title here was people who manage this page, and this does not mean that you always have information about certain profile or organization who manages page. Sometimes you do have that linkage if it is linked officially and if it's transparent. Sometimes journalists link their media pages, and that's of course authentic, and there is no problem in that. But usually when inauthentic networks are run by anonymous actors and they try to hide who is behind the network, of course they do not link their profiles. So in the location section, we do not have specific profiles, but we do have locations of admins. And we've seen many operations targeting certain countries, but these networks were not managed from that country. So it was like outside operation and foreign countries targeted other countries. And that is really interesting because in that case, we are able to attribute certain information operation to foreign actor. And then we can continue our investigation to attribute specific actor in foreign country. But this is already very interesting starting point to understand whether operation on Facebook is domestic or foreign. There are many questions how Facebook detects location. And I also get many questions whether VPN is successful in that regard and whether you can play around these rules and so Facebook cannot identify your real location. Basically, it's not only about location, it is all the activities. So what you do on Facebook. And basically, when you manage a page, you are it is mandatory to switch your location so Facebook can identify and detect where the pages run from. And also Facebook has this rule that you should not use VPN, and there is no official disclaimer or official disclaimer whether Facebook can detect VPN or not, but highly likely Facebook can detect it. And all these locations are genuine because of this transparency rules of Facebook. Sometimes locations are not visible, especially when admin is traveling, for example, and changing location. And it needs some time before Facebook identifies all other activities of the person, so it can detect its real location. Or sometimes this section is empty when page is newly created, and I've seen many of these examples. So you just like wait for some time, and then it should be detected, and then you can use this information. There is one rule when you can skip this step in verification of the page. When you're a journalist or an activist and declaring your location has very serious risks of, I don't know, physical harm or your safety. And in that regard, you have this communication with Facebook. But for a researcher's standpoint, there is a badge or like disclaimer that location is hidden for this type of purposes. To be honest, I've never seen this in the info ops investigations, because usually info ops are not managed by genuine investigative journalists who just like hide their locations because of safety issues. So this is the rule that is given here in the terms and rules, but I'm not seeing that in practice. Then page about section. This is one of my favorite screens to describe why page about is also very interesting, and how can you identify some signs of inauthenticity only from about section, even if you do not go to some very deep details. This example is from Georgian Takedown, and this network was linked to pro-Russia political party, Georgian March. And one of the pages was the best shoes fabric, and it acted as online shopping platform. But in the URL, it had Marshi, which stands for March in Georgian, and it had email, it had official website of Georgian March indicated there. It was registered as internet television, and the numbers. So like all this information can be checked. Of course, the reverse search for email or checking the phone in a phone database. But besides that, like even these two things, that like official website of political party was indicated on this inauthentic page, and it was registered and as internet television, is already very interesting signs of inauthenticity. And this was basically how I uncovered this network, and then later on it was deleted by Facebook, because if you see from the screen, it also had groups, and when you go to groups, you see some like multiple groups managed by this page, and then this whole network was detected. Groups are also managed by other users, other pages, and this is how you expand your findings, and then you end up with like lists of, I don't know, dozens of assets, and it's really fun sometimes to do this type of investigation. Another example from another case study, I think it was from Sudanese operation, if I'm not wrong. The community is interesting as well. We are always collecting information, how many followers and how many page likes are there. And in terms of groups, how many members are in the group. Yesterday, we were talking about effect and distribution, and collecting this information is really interesting to identify whether operation is like deeply infiltrating the society, or is it in its early stages, and then you can like decide whether it's worth taking action at the early stages or not. For example, this Georgian March takedown was in its early stages, and Facebook also said in its statement that it was discovered before it was very popular, and before it reached thousands and thousands of people in Georgia. So it depends. If it's like one single content, maybe it's better not to react to it. But if you see like dozens of assets gaining strength, and then at some point we'll start flooding information space on Facebook in Georgia or in a certain country with political content, of course it's better to take action in its early stages before it has any impact. And this is good section to collect information from about section. And also there might be some other links for investigation. In about section, for example, this account, this page also had Instagram profile linked, and then you can go to Instagram and research some other aspects of investigation as well. So about section is really very interesting. And the last aspect is the groups. Let's discuss very briefly these groups as well, and then we will pause. I will give you pages, the page, and you have to investigate page and collect as many information as possible about the page, and then we will have 5 minutes rest, and then I will continue the rest. So the linked groups is here. So there is a page, and then in more, for example, in more section, you will find groups here, like in more, and then the groups. Sometimes there might be like one group or dozens of groups or no group at all. I hate it when a page does not really manage any group, because that's one of the ways how to expand the search and how to identify more and more assets manually. And this means that I have to dig another page, which probably or potentially runs a group, so I can collect more. But yeah, it's about luck sometimes, because you might end up having a Facebook page with many signs of inauthenticity and information like right away when you start the investigation, or sometimes you may have to dig deeper and then identify more information. This is also one example from Georgian takedown. These names are in Georgian, but I will translate some of them so you understand what is the picture behind this. Culinary recipes, buy and sell, vacancy, renovation, social business forum, automobile, I don't know how it's called, the parts, like car parts and auto parts. And I don't know, yeah, my markets, online shopping, etc. All these groups were linked to this Georgian March takedown. And again, this is very good example of inauthentic groups. So initially, person thinks that they interact with the topic they are interested in. For example, if you're doing renovation in your home, you might be interested in, I don't know, the people who might help you in renovation. You might be interested in recommendations for companies, for people, for furniture, etc. And you might join this type of group. And then, of course, you get some information about that topic because they need to attract audiences and build trust towards the group. And then at some point, they will start disseminating political content. So these names, all these names are inauthentic because it was not genuine operation. So it was false, and they attracted audiences in a misleading way. Groups also have about section, and that is very important section to look at. It also has history, and similar as we discussed about pages, groups also have histories of name changes, the date when the group was created and whether it changed names, etc. And it also has information about admins. I don't know why I don't have screen about admins. Maybe I forgot, but yeah, from members, when you click members, you will see who are the pages or the users managing the group. So if you already know that this group you are investigating is suspicious and might be part of larger network, all the admins are interesting for you as well. So if you have list of profiles, you go to profiles and investigate profiles. And you have, I don't know, the knows whether the profiles are authentic, inauthentic. Authentic profiles might also be part of the network. This does not mean that you only have to have inauthentic accounts. And all the pages are also interesting. So one by one, you go to all the admins' profiles or pages, and then you do this investigation and collection of data again and again about each of them. Again, if you have a page in an admin, you go to the page, investigate page transparency, about section, and then you check groups, and then you might identify other groups as well. And then those groups also have admins, and this is how we collect the data and how we expand the search. But again, as I said, collection of data is very important. because it helps us to identify picture in the spreadsheets, and we already have understanding what we are dealing with. And you cannot really download everything automatically. There's some, I will also show you Crowdangle link checker, for example, which gives you a spreadsheet who spread certain website. But as I said, open resources for Facebook analysis are limited, and basically we are doing the manual work. And as soon as you identify something interesting, I truly recommend to open a spreadsheet or Excel and do this, and like one by one collect this data, because at this moment this is empty, but then you end up with this, and then you can do some visuals or do some tables. It's like visual storytelling is another thing. But this is what you end up with. This is the same screenshot I showed you about the dates, because if you do not do this, you won't be able to memorize all the dates by heart, and you will not be able to see how these dates are linked to certain political developments. So this is what I wanted to tell you about the pages, groups, and profiles. And I will send you this Facebook page now. And let's take a couple of minutes. Let's, like we still have time before we go on a break. And let's check transparency of the page, the creation dates, whether it has history of name changes, basically everything that we discussed. Does it have any groups? And then if yes, who are the admins of the groups? Go to one of the admins if there are multiple and check the images and identify some signs of inauthenticity, or if they are suspicious or whatever. And if you're able to also identify the content, why this page might be interesting for additional research, that would be a cherry on top. Okay, I'll share this, and let's start digging. Did you receive it? Yeah, please don't tap everything in the chat at the moment, because like let's give others chance to identify as well, because we all have different paces for research. And then after several minutes, then we can discuss everything together, and you can share your findings in chat, of course. Let's take 5 minutes initially, and then if we need more, we can take more minutes. Let's start in 1 minute. Okay. Was it enough or do you need more, like 2-3 minutes? No response. 1 minute. Okay, no problem. Will you start? Does anyone want to unmute and or kick off this discussion, and what did you find?
Hi, I can start. Oh,
Sure.
okay.
Hi. What happened?
I don't know. So I thought someone else wants
No,
to
no, no,
start.
no. No, no. You can go ahead.
So yeah, the group was created on the 7th of March of 2022. As I observed, it had changed the name 3 times. I think it was 3 times. Yeah. And yeah, the page is managed from Bulgaria, and it also manages, I think, 8 groups as I counted together. And I didn't manage to go through all of the groups. However,
Sure.
at least some of them had the same admins if you go and check them. So yeah, that's briefly from me.
Thanks. Amazing. Anyone else
Can I add?
wants to add? Sure.
Can I add? Also, I noticed that the page admins is administrating one of the group, one of the first. I think it's about Putin and Russia, something like that. It is among the administrators.
Okay.
Could be as one of the 3 admins is a page. Also, one of the reviews, Maria Dimitrova, gave 5 stars to the page, and the page of Maria Dimitrova has no posts at all. And I tried to Google search, image search, and I didn't find anything, but there are some similar. We should check a bit better the photo. And also I found in one of the group linked to the page, there is an author who posted a lot, Kolev Bor, and his account has content only about Putin and Russia, just no other posts at all. And everything are on the same link to one narrative. So, and he is an author, Kolev Bor, yeah, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it seems like that's a network linked one to each other, and we should check more to understand clearly. Thank you.
Amazing. Anyone else before we summarize? Did you notice something interesting? Yeah, this is amazing. So this is one of the networks which is operating in Bulgaria, and it targets Bulgarian audiences with pro-Kremlin and like pro-Kremlin narratives, and also spreads content about domestic political developments. We found this page when we were doing a training in Bulgaria, so it was like ad hoc thing that which we did in Bulgaria itself, and it was really amazing to find this scale. Yeah, what you said, this is all true. Several groups managed by this page. And also how you can expand what you basically already mentioned is that other pages also manage this group, and you go to these pages and then you find other groups as well. And the person you mentioned that did the 5-star review, if I'm not wrong, it was also admin of one of the groups. I'm not sure if it's here or maybe another one, but of course we need more time to investigate like 7 groups and 8 groups, etc. But like for the surface research, this is very, very even like more than enough information what you collected. And this Kolev is also very suspicious because the content which is shared is linked to specific websites. So maybe we might be dealing not with operation on Facebook only, but this might be involving some network of websites as well. And we will talk about websites because like the Zona 35 EU, some domains with EU ending, and that's interesting. So if I'm a researcher and I'm investigating this network, of course, I will collect everything which is linked to Facebook, but then additional investigation would be investigating all these websites and how these websites are linked with each other. So on surface, what we see at the moment, it's highly likely, so this is our theory, hypothesis, that these websites are also linked with this network. So maybe this is cross-platform network, and this is even huge. So at the moment, we have several pages, several groups, but this might be really a huge network. So yeah, and even if we do not find like specific images, for example, if we go to one of the admins here, Geri Rudavanova, we go to her profile. So when we click on the admin, we see all the posts that were shared by this profile in the group, but we then go to view profile and check the images, right? So if we do not have results from reverse image searches, and this is also happening, this does not mean that we have results every single time, but even without that, we already can say that this profile is suspicious. So we might not claim, and this is also part of defensive writing, if someone is complaining and maybe this is real person and maybe it has a locked profile and it's not like publicly available content, because there is always like percentage of that chance, I don't know. Better not to claim that this is inauthentic or fake profile, but to say that this is suspicious account. And this gives you some chance to defend yourself, because on surface, this account really looks suspicious. And here is like one of the great investigation ideas if you're interested in Bulgaria and the networks that was not covered. We decided to work on a bit different investigation on Bulgaria, and I'll show you that investigation during websites session, because it was like huge network involving websites as well, hundreds of websites. And that's what I wanted to share with you. But one of the things I also wanted to show how to collect the data. Just a second, I'll stop sharing, and then that's the last point, and then we can go on a break. I had this Excel open, and I don't know why I lost it. Yeah. This is just part of collecting data. So you saw on the browser that I had like multiple tabs, right? Like I opened this in a tab and then I like search information. This is, of course, this is how we start, but it's always better to collect the information like you have on the go. For example, we collected pages and everything is together, a name, URL. In the URL, we might have some patterns and similarities as well, and everything is together. Followers, creation dates, admins, name changes, and some notes that you observe, because for 1 and 2 pages you memorize those notes, especially if you're like doing this type of investigations almost daily, you already have everything together in your head. But then when you're dealing with dozens of assets and sometimes hundreds of assets, it's really hard to remember something similar that you already saw somewhere, and then you have to go again and again and find those similarities. So it's always better if you find something interesting to note down it, like it's empty timeline or it shares some website, which website, write that down, and then you might end up with very interesting patterns in your spreadsheets. List of the groups, for example, how many members, if there are name changes, is it public group, is it closed group, again the notes you observe, the dates, yeah, I said, and profiles, like are they suspicious, do they manage the groups, etc. So that's one of the ways how we collect data, because I always get that question that, okay, I understood everything, but how should I store it and how should I sort it? And these Excels are really very good to store your data and then analyze. Then you can filter, and then you can use some charts that are integrated in Excel and use these visuals for your articles and storytelling. And yeah, that's the last point I wanted to say. And okay, let's take 5 minutes break, and then let's discuss Facebook Ads Library and CrowdTangle Link Checker, because these are also very good sources for investigations. Do you have any questions, by the way, before we break?
I do have a question, but I just wanted to mention that actually Latvian or like IT security authorities have blocked the access to Yandex. So
Okay.
actually we cannot use, I tried different ways, but we can't use the Yandex reverse image search, which looks helpful, but yeah, that's just an FYI.
Oh, okay. I did not have that information. So the search engine itself, right?
Yeah, I tried the search
Okay.
engine in different ways, but it just shows, that the Electronic Mass Media Council has blocked the access to it. So, yeah.
Okay. Maybe if we try extensions and maybe the extension goes to Yandex results, have you tried that thing or no?
Oh, yeah, potentially, yeah. And I see that in the commentary it said VPN. Yeah, of course. I mean, VPN can be used. I'm just saying that, if a person doesn't have a VPN option, then, officially Latvia doesn't allow to access these websites. But I'm definitely going to try with the extensions. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I'll share the resources to those extensions, because it's like it collects everything together, and maybe through third-party website, it's easier to access the results on Yandex.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Sure. Can you please share the storage model, like the thing I just said? Yeah. I will share that. So the Excel, empty Excel. I will share empty Excel with the names and everything for profiles, groups, and pages, and then you can use it as like basis, and then you can add columns as your according to your interest and research. Okay, let's go for a break for a couple of minutes. Grab coffee, water, whatever, and let's continue. Okay, let's continue. Just a second, I'll share my screen again. So Facebook or Meta ad library. And I'm sure when you checked page transparency section, you saw like at the bottom that this notification or information whether a page has run the ads or is running ads at the moment. And the ads and the library of ads is very interesting database to start investigations. And one of my recent research was based on Meta ad library, and I will show you some ideas, and maybe that is also interesting for your countries and domestic contexts as well. So besides accessing ad library from page transparency section, you can also go to this link, facebook.com ads library. And you can choose the country you are interested in. I don't know why it's South Sudan here, but like you can choose the country, then the category of ads, because in some countries you can access all the ads, but sometimes you can only access ads that are only about elections and politics, and there are some restrictions. For example, several years ago, archive of ads was not available in Georgia, and it was only switched on ahead of 2020 parliamentary elections when local organizations addressed Facebook and asked the company to give researchers access, because we were only able to see current ads and we were not able to see the archive. So when the ad was finished and it moved to archive and was not active anymore, we were not really able to understand how much money was spent on ads from political parties, Facebook pages, etc. So it was really, and still is very important information to investigate corruption, for example, or I don't know, money waste, or like whether it's like how money is spent on Facebook from official institutions and pages. So there are many sources of ideas in the Facebook ad library. So basically, when you go there, you can use this search section in a way, like the one way is to search keywords and find all the ads about the topic you're interested in. For example, if we take protests and type in Georgian, because it's very ongoing at the moment, you might end up with all the posts in Georgian containing keyword protests, and that which are sponsored. So one thing is that there are some posts on Facebook and we're investigating the network and posting behavior, but then advertisements are totally different thing, and it's very interesting to investigate. We can also sort this data according to the like how to low impressions or low to high impressions. But besides the keywords, we can also search by advertiser. So we can type the page name and then the page pops up, and then we see not all the posts containing the keyword, but we see all the ads sponsored by a certain Facebook page. So this is how we can search and navigate this database. This is one of the examples of searching by advertiser. And this is also one of the ways to identify who might be behind the page, because usually in this type of networks, what the networks we're interested in, these are anonymous networks. And if we see that anonymous Facebook page is sponsoring an ad, this is quite interesting, because this transparency policy and disclaimer policy is mandatory, and these pages have to indicate who is the sponsor of the ad, and then this helps us to identify a person or the organization or the entity behind the page. And this is one of the examples of this type of investigation. This was a Facebook page which is not active anymore in Georgia, which was pro-Russian. it spread Russian disinformation, and basically it was pro-USSR, even like going deeper, and spread some, I don't know, nostalgia and conspiracies and some old disinformation narratives about the Soviet Union. And it was an anonymous page back then, and then at some point it started sponsoring the posts, and it had this paid for by section by George Mdivani. This is not interactive. You cannot really click here and go to profile or whatever. You need to check information then by yourself. But like comparing to having anonymous page to having already like official name and surname of a person, it's already very good process to collect information. And when we are interested in person, the easiest way to identify a person is to search this person on Facebook, of course. If this is organization, then some countries have open databases of company registrations and organization registrations, and you can search official information there as well. But like there is different laws and policies in different countries. In Georgia, it's very open and you can easily access information, ID number, registration, participation in companies, organizations very easily, but not every country has this type of freedom of access to freedom of information. So this guy is George Mdivani. The cover photo is also very interesting. And then, of course, this is not enough information. This is, again, the starting point. But when we scrolled down, we could identify that like this profile shared post from this Politicano Facebook page. And then it's a bit old example because now it's really like it's known for everyone, like at least for disinformation researchers, that this Georgi Mdivani guy was behind the Politicano page. So this is one of the examples how to investigate who might be behind the page. But to be honest, this is not the case all the time. Very frequently, we have this situation when paid for by section repeats the name of the page. And this does not really give us anything, no additional information. Sometimes when the ad is sponsored in the EU, it has some additional policies of transparency, but like in Georgia, it's not the case. And like if we end up with information that Politicano, for example, sponsored posts and the Politicano paid for the posts, there is nothing we can do anymore. Sometimes we can see that ads were removed and they are not active anymore because they violated the transparency and disclaimer policy, because everyone is has this everyone must indicate the information about who is paying for the post. But this policy of Facebook is not that consistent all the time. This is what I wanted to say, and this information might also be limited. This is about paid for by, and this is information about the ad. So when you click see ad details, you will see information about how much money was spent on ad, what was the demographics, how many people it reached, and this demographics is very interesting. Like if it targets specific regions in your country or specific age group, or I don't know, women, men, students, urban areas, rural areas, etc. So that might be interesting for the outreach of this information and the scale. That's very important to know. And one of the interesting sections also in Edu Library is spending tracker. And we will also have some time to play with the tool. When we go to spending tracker, we can also indicate the country here. So on default, it will go to the country location you're based in. So if we click on this link and go, for me, it will be Georgia, for you, the countries you're based in. But on the left side, you can change the location and investigate the spending according to the country you're interested in. And it will give you the list of the pages, and then you can sort the time frames according to your interest. Who spent the most today, for example, or in last 7 days, or in last 30 days, or in the last 90 days. And what is also great is that you can download this information and you can have this in Excel, and then you don't have to spend some time on like manually sorting that data in your spreadsheet. So you can see this on this table and also download this information, and then that's really interesting. So this is, I don't know why I did not have this slide before, like we already talked about this. And this is how you sort the data, and then how you can download the data, and then you get that in Excel format. So one of the ideas of investigations and one of my recent research that was published, that I found pro-government Facebook ads targeting the current protests. And yesterday, Tamar also had the question, what are the disinformation narratives targeting the current protests? And there were like dozens of Facebook ads that were linked to government institutions or pro-government content, and they were targeting the protests. So basically this research was done, so this research was on Facebook, about disinformation on Facebook, but everything was based on Meta ad library report. So I did not have to go manually to the pages or like dig some stuff myself manually. This is very good database to start your investigation. And this is what we get when we try to identify the major spenders according to the time frame we are interested in. And out of top 20 spenders, at that time, it was published a week ago, out of 20, 17 were either official Facebook pages of government institutions or ruling party, or some anonymous pages that were linked to the government or the spread pro-government disinformation content. And that was really very interesting because that also showed us the scale, how much money was spent and what resources were allocated for information campaign to discredit protests from government and official sources. So of course, like Georgian Dream was first in the list, and the whole sum of money spent on these ads were up to 90K only in 30 days, which is a lot for Georgian audience because we are a very small country, for Facebook audiences as well. Of course, we see here some pro-government TV channels with pro-government editorial policies. But what is very interesting is that this page, for example, which was among top 20 spenders, the name was Political Absurd. So Political Absurd is the name which does not really, like, it does not ring a bell. It's not officially connected to anyone. When we went to the page, it was anonymous page, and the whole content was discreditation, disinformation campaigns, pro-government content, and that was really interesting. So even if you do not have some suspicious pages you want to investigate, these lists are also very good starting points. So you just open your country, you search who are the major spenders, and maybe in the list of spenders, you see some interesting name and then investigate that name. So in this case, this Political Absurd was interesting for us, and it's spent, I don't remember, but like it was among top spenders for that time frame and time period. And these are some examples of the ads that were targeting the protests. Yesterday I mentioned this fake, I don't know, Western experts. This guy was working for CIA, his former CIA employee for, I don't know, maybe 5 years in between 1970 and 80. And this his title in the Kremlin media and Georgian pro-government media is that former CIA official says that US attempts Maidan and overthrow of the government in Georgia. And that sounds so crazy and so legitimate that he, like the CIA guy from America, is saying so. And this was just like, these are very small number of examples. Dozens of sponsored posts were promoting this crazy interview from this guy. Another, the same narrative that this is Maidan, and Maidan is happening in Georgia, and that these are like the comparison of similar pictures, the lipsticks, for example, and like the food which is free during the protest, and the sponsored ads claimed that these are some tactics and tools that are organized by the West, and the US already tested this in Kiev, for example, in 2014, and they are repeating the same thing in Georgia. And another example of this sponsored posts, again from this political absurd Facebook page, they created this false dilemma that are you joining this, I don't know, LGBT protests, or are you on the side of Georgia? And they use these comparisons and image comparisons, visual comparisons. On one side, the rainbow flag, for them portraying the ongoing protests, again to discredit protests, as it was an attempt to discredit protests. And on the other side, this like national symbols such as flag and traditional clothes and so on. So this was one of the campaigns targeting the protests. So I'll send the link to a meta-ed library. Check your country or the country you're interested in, and identify at least one suspicious page from the list, if there is any. Maybe there are no suspicious pages and everything is transparent in your countries, but it's still very interesting to investigate. And we have some corruption research initiatives, and they are tracking how much money is spent by different institutions on Facebook ads, and they are basing this their research on disinformation. Oh, what's that? Not Facebook.com, sorry. And we know that Tbilisi mayor's office is among one of the top spenders on Facebook ads, and a lot of money is spent. And especially if you have elections this year, this investigation, this research to identify spenders and then to identify content, what type of posts around elections are sponsored, that's amazing research idea. Did you access it? Do you have any issues? Seems like propaganda accounts from my country, Belarus, are.
No, I had no issues accessing. That's actually really interesting too.
Yeah, it could be so. Sub accounts are also blocked in Georgia, and yeah, as I said, we also have a partnership with Facebook. And as soon as we identify some suspicious accounts in many countries, not only in Georgia, of course, we share that information with Facebook. But this does not mean that every account or every I don't know, page is blocked by Facebook. Maybe certain campaigns or certain assets of, for example, the Newsfront assets were blocked, and Sputnik assets were blocked in multiple countries several years ago, and easy for them to amplify their content on Facebook, but there might be others. If you do not see any suspicious pages in this library and report, this means that like they are not top spenders, but maybe in other lists like 30th or in 40th place, you might find something, or maybe not. Maybe for your country it's not that relevant and like the spending is transparent, but I'm not really sure about that. Anything interesting you found? If you want to share, this is not like official exercise. You need to share your findings, just like food for thought for research ideas and how you can access it and identify some stuff. If you have something if you want to share, you can unmute yourself and share with the group. Oh, by the way, when Facebook takes down the networks and when they publish the reports officially, they also indicate information how much money was spent. And in Georgia, there is always discussion that when pro-government inauthentic networks are taken down and when like thousands are spent on ads, there is always discussion that where does this money come from? And it's highly likely that this is from budget, and it's not transparent, of course. After first takedown, opposition parties called on investigations, but of course nobody investigated it. So it's always a discussion issue that budget money and people's money spent on discrediting protests or political content or pro-Russian narratives, etc. Yeah, sometimes these ads are really genuine and you cannot really restrict political parties, and they can spend, of course, and sponsor their posts. But basically in Georgia, what we have, this Tbilisi mayor's investigation, what I said, it's not about disinformation research, it's about money waste and squander detector type of research. How much money do they spend and whether it's necessary to spend so much money on Facebook ads. And basically they are doing some comparisons that this money could be spent on social programs and for corruption investigative groups and journalists who investigate money flows and finances. It's really interesting to track this type of spending. Okay, do you have any questions about Facebook Ad Library? No questions and notes in the chat. Okay, the last point and last thing I want to discuss is this CrowdTangle and issues related to it and what resources do we have at the moment. So if you are not aware, CrowdTangle is a monitoring platform of Meta. Initially, it was third-party platform, and then Meta bought it and gave access to researchers and journalists. And it is like huge dashboard where you can monitor, create some, I don't know, lists of the pages and the groups you're interested in, create monitoring alerts and track overperforming posts, underperforming posts, etc. I'm not doing this demo because it's not an open source. It's restricted for like partners and I don't know, researchers and journalists who had access. But like last 2 years, we heard this, I don't know, rumors that Meta was going to shut CrowdTangle down. It did not give any new access and it's restricted. And now we officially know that in August, I guess, 2024, so we still have a couple of months left, CrowdTangle will be officially down. And the substitute for it is Meta Content Library and API, access to API. I will send this link. So from the DFR Lab, we have access to Meta Content Library. To be honest, it's not that cool and engaging with all the statistics and dashboards and everything as CrowdTangle is. But I hope that this tool will be developed. But for purposes of searching content on Facebook, Meta Content Library also works. I will send this link, and from that link, you can apply to have access to it as well. So that's it about the CrowdTangle. But before it is down, we have this tool which is publicly available. It's not the full dashboard, of course, but this is CrowdTangle Chrome extension. And you can install it in the browsers. It's not like downloadable program on your desktop. It is very easy. And especially when we are dealing with the website links, and if we're interested who is disseminating the content on Facebook from websites, then CrowdTangle Link Checker is very good tool before we have it. And I hope that when it's down, the contents library will have, I don't know, the new extension, because it's really very useful. Sometimes it has some glitches, sometimes, especially when we're dealing with languages outside, beyond Russian or, I don't know, English, sometimes it cannot identify those public pages in like smaller languages, but still having nothing is very, very bad. And I don't even want to imagine the world where we do not have CrowdTangle, because it really saves a lot of time and helps us to identify dissemination of interesting websites on Facebook. I'll send the link and we can have 5 minutes practice on that as well. But if any website could be assessed, it's an extension. And as soon as we click this extension, the new window pops up. And we see where this website was disseminated. So on Facebook, we see pages and public groups. And what is great with this tool is that even if we do not have access to full dashboard or historical data of the CrowdTangle, as I said, you can download this data in an Excel format or the spreadsheet format, for example, from here. And all these Facebook interactions and all the 300 pages or the groups, how many times it was posted, everything is there for you. So at some point, CrowdTangle Link Checker also helps you to save time in the regard that you do not have to collect everything manually. You do not have to like copy this in the Excel, as I showed you for like a couple of minutes ago. You can download and have everything. And what is and yeah, this is the visual how you get it, and then of course then you can play with it. You can copy data and I don't know, sort it the way you want, so according to your taste or the things you need, and you get the timestamps. Just a second. So here, under this logo, you get the caption. So what was the post? If it had any caption, make up your own mind. This was the caption, this video. It was pandemic video I mentioned yesterday, a documentary about COVID disinformations and conspiracies, and it was very, very popular and virally spread across multiple social media platforms. So one of the pages posted it with make up your own mind. Then you have the timestamps, and always consider the time. Oh my God, I forgot the word. The time zones. Yeah, time zones. I forgot zones. The word zones. And then the interactions and the numbers and the outreach, and then like total information of the pages and the groups, like the number of total interactions and number of total followers of the pages and the groups. So it is limited. If we compare this data to data we can access in full dashboard of CrowdTangle, of course it is limited. But again, if we consider that resources invested to research Facebooks are limited, and also access to CrowdTangle is limited, this is public tool, this is officially Meta tool, you need to log into Facebook to access it. But still, this is very good tool to have until we have it. So you have a couple of months to play with this tool and investigate. Okay, I'm sending the link checker. It takes several minutes if you do not have it installed already. Not the depends on the account. So like if you're talking about personal accounts, no, because CrowdTangle cannot monitor personal accounts. None of the resources can. It can monitor pages and the groups, but the public groups, not the closed groups. And you have interactions of outreach, total ones. And also, as I showed you on the screenshot here, these are the interactions here on each post. And you click it and you see how many comments, how many shares, and how many reactions and emojis it got. And then it counts the total. And I'm sure that when you download this from the extension, you will get all this information in Excel file, so you can sort it, do some formulas here. Yes, followers of the page, followers of the group, interactions, number of the comments, number of shares, and then you can play with this information. And again, based on this information, decide whether it's worth reporting on or not, and what type of scale of distribution and effect it has. And yeah, what I wanted to do, Install that, and I'll give you two websites. Just try one and the second, and maybe if you find something interesting about the websites too. This is just like creating basis for website forensics and research. Of course, it's not the major topic of this session today, but still, if you already find something interesting visually, even it's already more than enough. But our main goal is to install CrowdTangle and then check where these websites are disseminated on Facebook, and if you see something interesting there. I can show you a quick demo how it works. Did everyone install it? Do you have any issues with CrowdTangle? I think you do not see my browser now, but I will share it. Okay, let's do it quickly. Can't launch the extension, okay. So when you click that link, did you see this window? And here you should have add to Chrome. I don't want to remove this now. Add to Chrome, do you have it? Yes, okay. And then you need to log into Facebook. This is Meta-owned. Maybe you need verification from Facebook app. If you have two-factor authentication on your Facebook, you might need to approve login from your Facebook app. And time to time that happens to me as well, because like time to time it asks you to renew the verification. But you definitely need to be logged into Facebook. And are you logged in with Facebook on browser? Oh, do others also experience same? Did you get any notification in your app that there is attempt of logging in from other device or other application? Maybe you need to verify it from your phone. Let me know if it works, and if not, then we can separately try to solve that issue, okay? So when you add this to Chrome from this little puzzle icon, which collects all the extensions you have and all those like image verification extensions as well, they are all sort of stored here. And when you have the website opened, you just click on this puzzle icon, click CrowdTangle link checker, and then you just wait. So you do not have to do anything. It will collect all this information itself. And now we have this everything, and then you download it, and then you have access. So sometimes when you need to do some surface research and you're just interested whether it's worth digging in further, like this scrolling down might be interesting, and you click this and you go to a specific post so you can understand and investigate other original posts. And then you decide, if you decide that all these assets are interesting, then you can download it and then start researching and manipulating with data sets. Okay, I'm switching off this. I showed everything I wanted you to do yourself, but there is another website as well, so maybe you identify some interesting assets there. Did everyone try? So basically, if I'm not wrong, I think these are the same assets, or at least very similar to the assets we found on that Facebook page in Bulgaria. I don't remember it was Bulgaria and Russia or different, but still the names of the groups and pages are already very, very interesting. And if we also take this another website, this clone of that one, so they are built with same design. If you pay attention to the visual, the colors, the logo, the design, and all the structure of the website, and I guess even the content, yes, it's automated, I think. And then another website, I'm sure it is also shared on same assets. Interesting investigation idea here as well. Do you have any questions about this? It's better always to have more time to play with these tools and check the websites. If you run media organizations and publish news, maybe you can check your websites too, how it is amplified and what is the outreach of your own content. That is also interesting, and sometimes do it myself with my research. So yeah, that's one of the ideas also, how to start investigations and how to attempt to identify inauthentic networks. Okay, that's it for today. To summarize, we discussed Facebook analysis. I was trying to say all the tools we have, but we have very limited resources. So most of the work on Facebook is manual, and Facebook does not allow third-party monitoring to scrape data, to sort data, and this is also very restricted. But on the positive note, this means that we do not really need some very high-level technical skills to investigate information operations on Facebook. We just need to pay attention to more details on pages, on groups, on profiles, and use some existing resources such as reverse image resources and CrowdTangle link checker or content library. And please try to apply and get access to a content library. And yeah, that's how we investigate information operations on Facebook. If you have any questions in the chat, or if you want to unmute yourself, we still have a couple of minutes to have a Q&A. Annette, you could not use CrowdTangle as well. You liked Roman's comment, and I was just interested if you could access it.
Yeah, I could neither, because I had it previously as well, but I haven't really been using it. And I tried to enter it, and it just, you can see that, login into Facebook, however, at the bottom is inactive. And then I removed it, the extension, added it again, and it still doesn't work. So I'm not really sure. I think I also need to restart my computer. It requires some updates, so maybe that's the issue.
Maybe it's a browser and cache issues. I'll try also to ask around my team if they experience something similar, or if there are some issues with CrowdTangle itself. Maybe like when we already know that they are taking it down, maybe it's some issues with the program itself. But yeah, I'll try to come back with that and some solutions in the Slack.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Anything else? If not, I think we can summarize this part. Sandro, what do you think? I think there are no questions, and we can save
thank
2
you
minutes.
thank you once more, Sopo.
Sure.
Actually, it was really useful for me as well. So after
Great
your
to hear that.
trainings, it will be more easy for me as well to find right information and don't have hearts with disinformation. So it's
Amazing.
perfect for every kind of people. You should make these trainings for Georgian people as well, I guess.
Yeah, we do a lot. Yeah.
I know.
Thank you guys. See you soon. I think next week, right?
Yeah,
Bye
yeah,
bye. Have a great day.
21, 23, and 28. And
Yes.
also, I would say, participants, if you have any problems about selection, please write us your own mails, so we will send you direct invitation links for Slack channel. So, and if you need anything, just write us and we will help you. So, have a nice weekend. Again and again, thank you so far, and see you next week.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.